Today I'm going to be talking about the time that I was a housekeeper and then quit after just 3 weeks of being on the job. Okay, so to start things off, I was fresh out of high school, and this was before my kind of rough phase of not finding work, not knowing what kind of work I would be able to do for myself, and just kind of getting down about myself. And I had to take like a gap year after high school, so fresh out of high school, and I wanted to get going on something right away, so I just knew what my next step would be, and I started job searching. And I was looking around for a while and trying to find some things, thinking of what I would probably want to do. And then I applied to this cleaning place. I will not be naming the cleaning place that I went to, but just because I feel like it's not really necessary. It's kind of wrong in my opinion, but I mean, to each their own. I just don't feel comfortable disclosing it, but I applied to this cleaning place and I was really excited about it, and then I got a call back, and within a few days I was asked to do an interview. I was very excited, very, very nervous, like so nervous to the point that I had driven like the wrong way when I was going there, and I had to like make a quick last minute U-turn. It was kind of crazy because it was like morning like traffic. And I go there, do all this stuff. It was kind of nerve-wracking and annoying at the same time. And then I was employed, and I really sold it. I really tried to come off as very eager and excited to work there, but I was really scared. I was very nervous about if I was even going to be able to do the job. But I was like, I need to take a chance here and there. And then I started, like, I think a day or two later, and right off the bat I knew I was screwed. So one of the things that I was very nervous about, and it's weird because if I were to apply there now, like who I am now, I'd probably be able to do, like, I probably wouldn't have a problem with this. But when I started doing driver's ed when I was like 16, it's called behind the wheel in my school, I was very nervous about it, and when I started actually getting behind the wheel, I became even more nervous about it, and I had, and still kind of do have, like, anxiety when it comes to driving and the idea of driving, and like if I have to go somewhere, especially somewhere that's important where I have to be there on time, I'm just nervous about like the anticipation of having to get in the car and driving, and the idea of being on the road with people who are probably going to think I'm driving too slow or whatnot. Like those types of things really agitate me and really make me nervous. And I think he left. Those are the neighbors. Sorry. I thought I was home alone, and I actually am. And so at this time, I was like just starting to venture out and drive, and I was very scared about it. And part of the job was you and one other person, you get a partner, would take turns driving to customers' houses. And you know, some people drove more than others. You know, I would see two people, and it was like, you know, Kimberly drove way more than Monica, and in this case, you know, Karen and Susan drove equally. And then in this other case, it was just like, you know, very different for each kind of person. And I was just like, maybe I can sneak by with not having to drive as often, because I'm very scared about driving. And in some cases, the houses were very far away and in areas that I had never driven to, and I was just not confident with it at all. So I was like, oh crap, this is going to be an issue for me. And so that was a red flag. When I first got there, it was my very first day, I was so nervous. I got weird vibes from people who were working there for a while. I got good vibes from people who had just started, like the same day as me, people I saw at orientation, and that made me a little bit happy to see that, you know, I wasn't just the only new person there. And I got along great with some people who were newcomers and people who had been there for a while. I was first paired. I was going to be trained on my first day, obviously. And the two people that I was paired with, I thought that they were pretty cool. A little bit intimidating, but I'm just a little chihuahua trying to get through life. I'm just so scared of everything and everybody. And it was a very interesting experience, but here's the thing. So I was warned about this woman who was like the inspector of the company. And if you and your partner were at a house cleaning, whichever house you got, usually you had 3 houses to do every single day that you would drive to. And it didn't matter what house you were at, what time, area. This woman, who I'm going to call Velma, we'll just say that because it was a very strange, not strange, but like oldie kind of name like that. Velma would appear out of nowhere. So you'll be cleaning a house and then she will arrive and see how you're doing, what you're doing, and if you're doing everything right. And I was like, fuck, yay, great. And my first impression of Velma was she is scary as fuck, and I don't like her. It was my first house, and it was me, my trainer, and my trainer's partner, who she's usually partnered up with anyway, when she's not training. And we went to our first house, and I was like, okay, here we go. I can do this. And they assigned me the bathroom to do first, and my 2 other partners, they chose where to start first. I think one was in the foyer and the other was in the kitchen. And we just started working, and I was like, I could do this. I was feeling kind of confident, feeling like, okay, yeah. And they told me how to do everything, the steps on how to do it, and different kind of cleaners that were meant for a certain thing. So like one cleaner was meant for countertops, and one cleaner was meant for mirrors, and one cleaner was meant for the bathroom or like in the tub, and one was meant for the floors, and which like rags to use and when, and like for different things. I was like, okay, this is new, but I'm picking up on it pretty quickly. And then Velma appeared. Her car pulled in, and they were like, oh shit, Velma's here. I'm like, okay, I hope she likes what I'm doing. And she did not. Velma started criticizing me immediately, and asking me questions, like very like condescendingly. Like, she walked in the bathroom and she's like, you know, did you do this? Did you do that? And just kind of had that like attitude with me right off the bat, even though it was very clear that I was new, and the 2 girls that I was with, they were training me. And I get anxiety like thinking about it, because it was so nerve-wracking and such like an experience that I don't really appreciate. And so she was just criticizing me, really giving me a hard time, really drilling into me. And it was my very first day, very first house that we went to, and she didn't care. She treated me like I had been working there forever. And I brushed it off. I'm like, okay, I was warned that she was rough and tough, and I'll take her advice and try to apply it to the next 2 houses that we have today. And so then she hung around for a while, and I didn't like that. I don't know. I'm not really good when under pressure. And so after she left, we went to the next house, and my 2 trainers felt really bad. They were like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's ridiculous that she came here on the first house. It's your first day. And she started saying all those things and, you know, kind of giving you a hard time about how well you cleaned the bathroom. And they were like, kind of had my back, and I really appreciated that. Now, here's the thing. Like, it may sound like I'm a big baby, but I'm very like nervous all the time. And when people try to get me out of my comfort zone, I kind of backtrack. So it's like you're trying to literally like push me 2 steps forward, and that's only going to make me want to run like 5 steps back. In most cases, I'm definitely getting better with it, but at this time in my life when I was doing this and I was younger, I wasn't as good and able to like cope with things like that and able to take hits like that. And so then we went to the next house, and it was a different experience, because in the first house nobody was home, And in the second one, people were home and you had to kind of like work around them and have like awkward small talk. It was very weird. And the whole rest of the day was fine. I didn't have any other problems and it was pretty straightforward. And then it just started to progressively get worse. My trainers switched, so I was paired with a different trainer. And my second trainer that I received, we're going to call her Haley. I don't remember what her name was, but I remember her face and I remember her attitude. So I was paired only with Haley. It was just me and her second day. And we start the day off and she is giving me attitude. She's giving me looks, dirty looks. She's, kind of making me feel bad for not knowing what to do, even though it was my second day. And kind of making fun of me or making me feel like I was an idiot for not knowing how to do certain things, or just like little things that I do, like just little like weird quirky things, like even that I am like, what are you doing? Like it just seemed like that. It was very very uncomfortable, not a good day. And the customers were very nice and talkative, and some of them were just like, just do your thing, I'll stay back, and that's that. Like I really liked that part. But Haley, my partner, was very aggressive. She had that kind of attitude. And it was kind of teetering throughout the whole day. And then we get to this one house. It's a very big house in a neighborhood I've never been in. And she told me to do the kitchens. So I was like, okay, I took what I, learned the day before and tried to apply the exact same thing in the kitchen. And this is where the real like problems and the reasons that I quit arose. I was with like different partners each day, it seemed like, or every other day, or like every like 2 days. Like I would like have one, like a new one the next day, and then like have them for a few days, and then I'll get a next one, or just that kind of like pattern continued. And each person who worked there had a different way of doing things and had a different idea of what was expected from Velma. And so I applied what I learned from my previous trainer from my first day to this new house with my new trainer. And when I got done with the kitchen, Haley walks in and she's like, well, did you do this? Did you do that? And what product did you use, and what rag did you use? And I told her exactly what I did and how I did it, what I used. And she's like, no, that's all wrong. Whoever taught you doesn't know what they're doing, and this is the right way to do it. It's like, well, all right, okay. And she showed me the right way to do it, and I finished the job. And then it kind of, I don't know, I can't remember exactly everything that was said. It was a long time ago, but while we were in that house the whole time, she was just saying, like, whoever got you, like, whoever first started training you doesn't know what they're doing. And then she started, like, saying, like, kind of, like, bossing me around, like, well, you gotta go do the carpets first before you do that. I mean, come on, like being very mean about things and aggressive, and saying, like, don't you remember anything? Don't you know how to do that? Don't you clean in your spare time? And no, that's not how you do this. This is how you do it. God, and just getting really like crazy. And it made me just want to crawl into like a little ball, like a roly-poly, and just take a breather, but I couldn't. So I tried to finish the job, and I was kind of getting frustrated with her, and I was allowing that to show. And she then said, you know what, like, I'm sorry, like, I know I'm aggressive, I have issues, and I don't mean to come across this way, but whatever, like, don't take it personally. And I was trying not to. And then we get to the second house, and I just wanted to cry at this point, because that first house just set up my whole entire day. And I think it either was the second or the third house that I'm going to be talking about now. But we went to this house, very nice house, and I was so done. I was cleaning, and she was constantly telling me that every single thing that I was doing was wrong and made me feel dumb about it. And she was saying things just very negatively and in a condescending way, and just being very rude and inconsiderate to the fact that I'm brand new. I've never done this before. This was my very first job ever. I had never worked before this, especially not in something as specific as housekeeping and as tedious as that. And so we were at this house, and she was just constantly hitting me with the smart-ass comments and the smart-ass way of saying things, and rolling her eyes and giving me that dirty look, and even giving me looks like she'll ask me, well, did you do that? And I'll be like, well, no, like, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. And she'll be like, and like move on. Like, she literally gave me that look. I kid you not. Like, what kind of person? I just don't understand. Like, I'm personally not like that. I can't really be like rude with people or be stern with people. I'm just not that way. Like, some people, they're able to do it in a respectful way, but she was just like being really hard. And by the end of the house, when we were finishing up, I thought I was going to cry. Like, I was getting so done. And I think she apologized to me again, but I was just like, it's fine. And so then after that, I was then paired with somebody new, and I was like, oh, thank God, like, I don't have to work with her. And then it was these two women. One was nice, one was iffy. So I'll call them Gwen and Gloria. Whatever, I'm good at coming up with names. And I was paired up with them, and they were really patient with me, and they're like, we totally get that you're new and all this stuff. But it was the same case again, where I then tried to apply Haley's way of doing things to these girls. And once again, they said, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing whatever I'm supposed to be doing. And they said, nope, that's wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, like, how many times am I going to have to relearn how to clean a countertop? And so I was like, all right. And so I took on what they told me to do, and I applied it to every other house that we did. I was with them for a while, and I stayed with them throughout, this most of the time, I believe. And then they started to, Gloria, the mean one, well, not mean, but like the one who got under my skin a little bit, she started to lose patience with me, like, very quickly, and didn't like the fact that I wasn't catching on fast enough. And I was just trying to keep up with everybody's expectations of me, and also trying to make Velma happy whenever she came, because she did come several times while I was working with whoever I was working with. And, it was the most nerve-wracking thing when you get done cleaning a kitchen or any sort of room, because literally after you get done cleaning the house and you are done and you're set, you have to stand there and you have to watch her go through the whole entire house, and she's like doing the finger thing to make sure there's no dust or any sort of particles. She's going through like the linens on the bed, and she's going through every single thing and looking at the tiniest little details, and you're just like, did I clean that? Did I even go there? And in the kitchen, she's lifting things up, and you're just hoping to God that you got every single little crumb out of the stove, like the stovetop. And she's like going like all the way into the oven, and you just hope that there is no like residue of anything or a stain of anything left. You have to make sure it's immaculate, and that was nerve-wracking. I felt like I was like going to die. And so she had come several times. It was not that bad, but Gloria was the one who was starting to pick on me a little bit and saying like, you should know this by now. You should know how to do this by now. Like, I know you've been here 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, however many days or whatever. But it's like, well, if you know that I've been doing this for this short amount of time, then why are you even criticizing me like this, And then Gwen was like, it's weird saying this because like their names, because I don't know what their real names were, so I'm just using fake names. It's funny. And she was more sympathetic with me. She would smile at me and just be like, don't worry about her, you're fine. And then I think I like fast forward a lot because I was there for 3 weeks, but the way I'm explaining this sounds like I was only there for like 3 days. But I had been with these two ladies for a while, and we went to this house, and oh my god. Maybe I'll say this for another video about all the houses that I saw and my impressions of them, maybe, because I saw some crazy stuff. And this house that I went to, the last house I cleaned, this was the kicker. So it was a really crazy house. It was kind of scary, but not in a way that it had like creepy masks on the wall and not like, you know, had things that I own, but just creepy in the way that like nothing matched and everything was gaudy as hell and things were just so in your face, and everywhere you turned you saw something new, like kind of out there, kind of quirky and unique, but in just a very distasteful way, in my opinion. Sorry to whoever designed that house and is happy with it, but when you walk in, you're like, okay. But we went to this house, cleaning it through, and I was becoming very insecure at this point because I was just getting so fed up with, during these whole entire 3 weeks, that I was constantly having to relearn all these different things and trying to keep up with everybody and being paired with people who were making me feel bad and putting me into a weird position and making me feel like I was just kind of fending for myself. I didn't really have anybody who was really like looking out for me or really teaching me anything because I had to relearn so much. Like I had to relearn everything every single day. I wasn't like learning something and then improving it and then learning something else that was like a step up from the other thing. You know what I mean? I was just relearning. I was in the same space. And so then we get done with this house and we get in the car, and it was just me and Gloria in the car, and we were waiting for Gwen to finish up vacuuming, and Gloria was just like, you know, I don't understand how you don't know how to do these things after 3 weeks. I don't understand who taught you. I don't know who taught you what, but there's just a specific way of doing things that you need to know. And saying like, oh, you should have done, like while we were in this house, you should have done this, you should have done that. And just, it made me feel really bad because I like to do a good job on the work that I do. And, you know, I try to do my best, but when I'm a person who I just don't really handle well with like criticism. I mean, I do, but I guess it's the way that people come across and the vibes that I get. Like, I pick up on people's vibes very easily, and if I feel like somebody is judging me or upset with me and just not happy with me being in their presence, which is what I felt with most of the people that I worked with, then I'm just going to be really uncomfortable, and I'm going to mess up even more. I'm going to stumble more because I'm just scared at this point. And after she said that, I just went quiet. I was like, this sucks. Like, is this how it's going to be? And for how long? And I don't like feeling like I am forced to learn everything and know everything within just 3 weeks. I understand, 3 weeks is 3 weeks, and it's not really that, like, short amount of time. But when you are in a job where you have to make sure that you get every single inch of a fucking room, let alone in the entire house, clean and in a certain way, and you have to do things in a certain order using certain products and, being approved by Velma, it just was a lot, especially for my first job. It was just so much to take in. And so then after that car ride, I was like, I am so done. Like, I was so done. And then when I would go home, I'd be afraid to go to work the next morning. I was like, I would become anxiety ridden. I would just count down the minutes of when I had to go. I would dread going. And I would talk with my mom on the front porch, and I'd just be like, I don't want to go, like, I don't know what to do, and she kind of sensed that I was actually being serious, and I wasn't just exaggerating, like, oh, I don't want to go to work today, I don't feel like it. Like, no, I don't want to go to work because I'm scared of who I'm going to be working with. I'm scared if I'm going to have to drive this day, because I did not drive at all during those 3 weeks, so I was scared of doing that, and I'm just scared of being criticized again, and being yelled at again, and being looked down upon by my partner or Velma, what have you. And it was just not a good experience, not a good first job experience for me. Some people might think that this is like over exaggerating, but I'm trying to boil it all down into like one little condensed like summary, because there was just a lot that went on. But I kind of got into the headspace of like, if these people are not really, if this is already something that you have mentally checked out of, then maybe you should not waste more of your time. I don't think I jumped the gun on quitting at all. I don't usually do that. When I feel like there is hope and that there is room for improvement and for something to be done, then I will act on it, and I will work on something and try to fix it. But in this case, I felt like even if some things were fixed, I would still have problems, because I didn't like the girls who were working there. I did not like the fact that I was doing a job that was really, really strenuous on my body. I've definitely improved in that aspect too, like physically, but before I had really, really, really bad like back problems. My back would ache so badly, and it would become like, so I would have to sit down, and that's not a really good look when you're a housekeeper. And it was just like little things, and it just wasn't a happy environment. There was a lot of like favoritism amongst the employees. Like, everyone had their own friend and their own like kind of clique sort of thing, and it just, when you walk in, there's a heavy negative vibe, and I mentally checked out very quickly. So there was this one day, I think it was actually the day that Gloria had criticized me, and it was before we even left the place, and we were sitting outside waiting for our time to be up, and everyone was loading their equipment into their cars, and I was sitting there, and I was texting my mom, and I'm like, I don't know about this. I was telling her that I was thinking of quitting, that I just really wasn't happy, and I don't want to be here. And my mom is very supportive, thankfully, and I am just so thankful for her. And she basically told me, we'll talk about this when you get home. Just get through this day, and we'll go over it. And after that day, and after Gloria had said what she said to me, I was like, I'm done. I'm mentally fully checked out. And I talked to my mom about it. And then the next day, I don't think this is something that I would do now, unless it was another really horrid job experience. But the next day, before I was due to go into work, I texted my boss, and I told her exactly what my problems were, with the fact that every single partner I had taught me different things, and it was hard to keep up, and blah, 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 like everything that I told you. And thank you for your time, and thank you for this experience, but I will not be coming in. And that was it. That was the very last of it, and I didn't care. Now, if this was a job that I saw like potential in, and saw that I really did want to continue or anything like that, then I probably would have gone and told my boss like what had happened, and continue to work there and see if anything changed. And I would have tried to build better relationships with the people there, and I would have tried to learn how to do things and stick to it and continue to improve. But when I'm done with something, like truly done, then I am done. And so yeah, I was a housekeeper for 3 weeks. it's kind of embarrassing when I tell people, yeah, I was a housekeeper and only for 3 weeks. Like, it sounds like I'm a quitter, which, I mean, fine, call me that, but I wanted to move on immediately. I was like, this is definitely not for me. And just, it's like, when you know, you know, you know? And I went through some other, like, weird jobs, and then now I'm working for a great company, and it's going pretty well. It has its flaws, but this is a job that I am able to improve with and able to work with and be patient with and to give it time. The other one, not so much. So, there you go. I hope this video was interesting, if it helped you in any sort of way. I don't know. And for those of you who feel bad about quitting a job so soon after starting it, don't feel bad. It's life. We all have, our trial and errors. So, I don't feel bad about it. I mean, it was a long time ago. I can't change it now. So, yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a lovely day. Bye.